We're asking all residents to please stay off the water. The water is rising very high and very quickly.
And we start tonight with that breaking news situation in Newaygo County. The Muskegon River is rising. Prepare to evacuate your homes. That's the message from emergency officials to those living near it.
We have team coverage on this tonight. Kyle's tracking river levels for us. Tom and Leon are both in Newaygo County tonight.
Let's start with Leon Hendricks. And Leon, you've been talking with those emergency officials today. What can you tell us?
That's right, Brian. The number one thing they want to get out now is this new effort. They are starting to work with Consumers Energy, and they're trying to cut power to some of these homes that they fear may take on water and cause an additional issue. They want to protect property, protect safety as much as they can, and obviously when water meets electricity, that can be a problem. It's expected that this will impact some 250 homes. They're trying to notify the people who live in those homes that this is going to be an issue here. These homes are all in that evacuation zone. But the important thing to know here that if those folks that have decided not to heed the warnings and not to evacuate their homes, they're still going to cut the power if they think your home is going to take on water. So be aware of that, but you should be getting a notification from Consumers Energy or from the emergency management about that situation. Now, emergency managers are well aware that some of the people have decided not to listen to their advice and evacuate their homes. To those people, they are issuing a stern warning that this is going to be different than any type of flooding situation that they've seen in a lot of years. In fact, certainly since 1995 at least.
You have residents that are lifelong residents that have lived on the river. They made it through the 1986 flood, which is our highest historical crest on record. It was our biggest flood. And so they kind of relate that, and they'll try and write it out. But the river is rising so fast and so quick that we want them to get out before it's too late. We flooded in 2011, again in 13, and now again in 2014. And you know, most of these homeowners, this is their livelihood is on the river, and it's just absolutely devastating to see the loss year after year.
So obviously a serious situation. Strong words there from the emergency manager. We are outside of the emergency command center that's been set up. It's a sort of a meeting of the minds as they try to work with dealing with this emergency situation. One of the questions is, why isn't this an evacuation order? Why aren't they forcing this? Well, that, the emergency manager tells us, would take an order from the governor. And she says we haven't reached that point. That would only happen if something catastrophic were to happen, such as the dams breaking. And that right now is not a concern. They are working as they should. Right now, reporting live in Newaygo County, Leon Hendricks, 24-hour News 8.
Thank you, Leon. Let's get out to Tom Hillen right now. Tom, you've been in the middle of this mess all day long, talking with residents. What are they saying?
Well, Susan, you heard the emergency manager talking about it. Right now, some are deciding to stay and some are deciding to go. I want to give you a glimpse of what we are seeing here along the Muskegon River. Notice how quickly this water is moving. That is one of the major dangers when we have flooding situations. And if you look across the river from where we are right now, you can see how far that water has come up against that house. And that is what we are seeing up and down the Muskegon River here in Newaygo County. Now, flood stage is 9 feet, and the river was measured at about 12 feet earlier today, and officials that we spoke with say they think it could go as high as 13 feet, maybe even higher, and that is why they are warning residents to get out and get out now.
We have asked residents living below the Croton Dam on the Muskegon River to please evacuate their homes.
Emergency service officials in Newaygo County fear this year's flood could be the worst the area has ever seen. If the river does make it to 13 feet, more than 200 homes would be in danger. They are warning people along the river that if they wait too long, that it won't be safe to send in emergency responders to help with evacuations. Today, those emergency responders went door to door at homes along the river to put out that warning.
I can't make it, but I'm advising you.
But still, some say they are not going anywhere.
No, I'm not leaving. I'm staying until she drops.
Why are you making that choice?
That's my home. That's where to stay here.
Others see the dangers, having already left their home and most of their belongings behind.
We raise everything up as best we can, move a lot of stuff to the garage because it's a little bit higher than the house, and then we vacate.
Having been through this before, Brenda Payton and her husband prepared for the rising waters.
And that's just to kind of slow the flow down just a little bit. It obviously is not going to stop it. There's no stopping it.
And seeing the writing on the wall, they left their home about 2 o'clock this morning.
And last year we had, like I said, 6 to 8 inches. This year they're saying maybe 1 to 2 feet more than that.
For now, they will stay in their motorhome, preparing for the worst, but hoping for the best. Another warning from the emergency manager's office here in Newaygo County is for people just to completely stay off of the river, especially don't go out on boats, because when you go out on those boats, it can create waves and push that water even further up the banks and possibly damage residents' homes even more. Brian and Susan.
Tom, whether you stay or whether you go, I guess officials are saying you need to have a plan.
Well, that is absolutely right, because if this water continues to come up and it comes up as quickly as they think it will, if it gets too dangerous to send in their emergency responders to say people that decide not to evacuate, they will choose not to do that. So you have to make sure to have a plan in place and maybe set some boundaries, say if it gets this high, that's when we're going to go. So just make sure that you have something in place in case this water does come up as quickly as what they think it will.